I lit the match that burned down my own goddamn life, not because I wanted to watch it all go up in flames, but because my sister, my blood, my everything begged me to take the fall for her. "Just say it was you, Char," she'd whispered in the garage that night, her eyes wild with the kind of panic that comes from knowing you've crossed a line you can't uncross, her hands trembling as she shoved the gas can into mine. And I did it, because that's what sisters do in this fucked up family of ours, swallow the sins of the ones we love, even when it means choking on the smoke forever. The fire roared through the old Victorian on the edge of Bucktown like a demon from one of those South Side ghost stories my abuela used to tell, devouring the attic where Mom kept her hoarded junk and licking at the eaves until the whole place sagged like a drunk at last call. I was 25, fresh out of community college with a useless associate's in graphic design, crashing in the upstairs room because rent in Chicago was a joke and family was supposed to be the punchline you could afford. That night, October 14th, 2018, the air was crisp with that autumn bite that makes you think of football games and deep dish regrets, but inside, it turned to hellfire quick. I'd always been the fixer in the Hayes family. Dad split when I was 10, chasing some pipe dream in Vegas that ended with him broke and begging for bus fare home, so Mom leaned on me to keep the lights on, literally, since I was the one wiring the extension cords around her latest collection of thrift store crap. Ellie, my little sister, was the golden child, the one who got the braces and the drama club spotlights while I scrubbed toilets at the corner diner to pay for it. She was 19 then, all sharp cheekbones and sharper ambitions, interning at that flashy ad firm downtown, dreaming of billboards with her name in lights. But dreams like that cost, and Ellie had a habit of borrowing from the devil to fund them. It started small. A missing necklace here, a borrowed credit card there. Mom turned a blind eye because Ellie was her baby, the one who'd make it out of this shithole neighborhood and send postcards from LA. I saw the signs, the late nights, the jittery hands, but I covered for her like always. Until the night she came home reeking of desperation, her eyes starting like a cornered rat. "I need your help, Char. Just this once." She'd embezzled from the firm, she confessed in a rush, skimming client funds for some bullshit investment scheme her boyfriend cooked up. 10 grand, gone like smoke. The auditors were closing in, and if it came out, she'd lose everything, her internship, her future, maybe jail time. The garage was our war room, cluttered with Dad's old tools and Mom's canned goods stacked like apocalypse prep. Ellie paced, her huge G-boots scuffing the concrete, while I stood there in my threadbare hoodie, feeling the weight of her mess settle on my shoulders like wet cement. "We stage it," she said, voice low and urgent. "A break-in gone wrong. Fire starts accidental, insurance pays out, we cover the shortfall. You say you were smoking up there, knocked over a candle or something. Mom's policy's got a rider for that Victorian shit, full rebuild plus payout." I laughed, bitter and disbelieving. "You're insane. That's arson, Ellie. Felony shit." But she grabbed my hands, her nails digging in, tears streaking her mascara. "Please, Char. You're the strong one. I can't. I won't survive prison. Think of Mom. She'd lose us both." And there it was, the hook in my gut. Mom, with her Parkinson's starting to twitch in her fingers, relying on that house like it was her last anchor. The diner gig barely covered meds. Insurance was our lifeline, a frayed one, but real. So I nodded, lit the match, poured the gas on the attic floorboards, the fumes stinging my eyes as I flicked it from the stairs, watching the whoosh of orange bloom into something biblical. We bolted out the back, screaming for the neighbors to call 911, Ellie collapsing dramatically on the lawn while I ran back in, stupid, heroic me, grabbing Mom's photo album from the kitchen before the beams groaned and the roof caved. The firefighters came howling down Damon Avenue, sirens splitting the night, and I was the one they pulled out, coughing black phlegm, my lungs seared like overcooked ribs. The hero, they called me in the papers. Bucktown daughter saves family heirlooms in blaze. Paramedics pumped me full of oxygen, neighbors brought casseroles, and Ellie hugged me in the ER, whispering, "You did it, sis. We're golden." The insurance adjuster came a week later, payout check in hand, 200 grand for the rebuild, minus the deductible we forgot to pay. Ellie funneled the skimmed 10 back, smooth as silk, and life snapped back into focus. Or so I thought. But trauma doesn't rebuild like timber. The nightmares hit first, flames licking my skin, Ellie's face melting into accusation. Then the panic attacks, squeezing my chest like a vice during rush hour on the L train. I quit the diner, couldn't stand the grease smoke anymore. Started therapy on a sliding scale at the free clinic, popping Xanax like Tic Tacs. Mom fussed over me, calling me her brave girl, but Ellie pulled away. Got promoted at the firm, started dating that sleazeball account exec with the Tesla, moved into a loft in Wicker Park. Our calls went from daily to weekly, her voice clipped with that new Manhattan transfer accent she was faking. By spring, the house was half rebuilt, contractors hammering away while I holed up in a rented basement on Milwaukee Avenue, rent eating my savings. That's when the letters started. From the insurance company. Discrepancy noted. Arson investigation flagged. My stomach dropped like the elevator in the Sears Tower. Ellie swore it was nothing, just routine, char, they always poke around, but I saw the fear in her eyes when she visited, the way she avoided the garage like it was cursed. The cops came in July, badges glinting under the July 4th fireworks still echoing in my skull. Detective Ruiz, a no-bullshit Latina with a Bears lanyard, sat me down at the Formica table in the precinct, her partner looming like a bad cop cliché. Ms. Hayes, we know about the fire. And we know it wasn't an accident. My mouth went dry, the room spinning with the ghost of that match flame. I confessed everything: the gas, the match, the cover for Ellie. Thought it'd end there, me taking the hit like always. But Ruiz leaned in, eyes narrowing. Your sister's clean, Charlotte. But you? This looks bad. Intent to defraud. Up to 10 years. I didn't rat her out, not then. Signed the plea deal, 2 years probation, community service, restitution. Walked out with a record and a scarlet letter branded on my resume. Ellie thanked me with a Hallmark card and a promise to make it right, but the calls stopped. Mom, bless her, tried to bridge it, but her hands shook too bad to text anymore. That's when the real betrayal sank its teeth in. A year later, 2020, pandemic raging like a sequel nobody asked for, I got the subpoena. Not from the DA, from a civil suit. Filed by Ellie and Mom against me. Fraudulent claim and emotional distress. They claimed I'd faked the whole trauma thing, milking the insurance for sympathy bucks, that my hero act was a scam to hog the spotlight. Ellie, now senior associate with a LinkedIn glow-up, had lawyered up with some West Loop shark named Harlan Voss, painting me as the black sheep arsonist who'd burned our nest to spite them. I stared at the papers in my shoebox apartment, the kind with roaches that RSVP for dinner, rain drumming the fire escape like accusatory fingers. Faked it? After I coughed up pieces of my lungs for them? The nightmares were real, the scars on my arms from grabbing that album real. But there it was in black and white, affidavits from witnesses saying I'd been unstable, prone to dramatic episodes. Mom's signature wobbled at the bottom, but it was there. My own mother, selling me out for whatever sob story Ellie spun. Rage boiled up, hot and acrid, tasting like the smoke I'd never wash out. I could have folded, taken the settlement they offered, a pittance to shut me up. But something snapped, deeper than the attic beams. This wasn't just betrayal, it was erasure. They'd rewritten me as the villain to canonize Ellie, the phoenix rising from my ashes. Probation be damned. I hired a public defender with a chip on her shoulder, a firebrand named Lena Torres who smelled blood in the water. Court date set for June 2022, Cook County Courthouse, that monolithic beast on Randolph Street where dreams go to die under fluorescent hum. I prepped in dive bars and all-night diners, poring over files by phone light, chasing leads on Ellie's shady dealings. Turns out, the embezzlement never really stopped. She'd just gotten slicker, laundering through shell accounts while climbing the ladder. And Mom? Ellie had convinced her the fire was my cry for help, some millennial meltdown. Gaslighting, straight out of a true crime pod. The first day of trial, I walked into that marble tomb feeling like Daniel in the lion's den, my thrift store blazer hanging off me like defeat. Ellie sat front row, polished in a sheath dress, her hair in that sleek bob that screamed, I've arrived. Mom beside her, frail in a wheelchair, eyes downcast. Voss, the lawyer, smirked like he'd already won his opening statement of venomous takedown. Charlotte Hayes, ladies and gentlemen, a young woman desperate for attention, willing to burn her family's legacy to the ground, literally, and then feign victimhood for a payout. My heart hammered as Lena rose, cool as Lake Michigan fog. Your Honor, the plaintiff paints a picture of deceit. But what if the real fraud is the one hiding in plain sight? She nodded to me on the stand, and I began, voice steady at first, then cracking like the fire's roar. I told it all, the match, the gas, the cover. Gasps rippled through the gallery, reporters scribbling like fiends. Voss cross-examined like a bully, twisting my words. So you admit to arson, Miss Hayes? For your sister's gain? Yes, I said, meeting his eyes. Because family means carrying the load when they can't. Ellie shifted, her facade cracking just a hair. But the real gut punch came on day 3, when the witnesses filed in. Not the neighbors or the adjusters' firefighters. The ones who dragged me out that night, their turnout gear singed with my sins. First up was Captain Mike Riley, grizzled vet with 20 years on the job, his mustache like a broom bristle. He took the stand slow, like he was carrying the hose again, and when Voss tried to dismiss him as biased, Captain, you barely know the defendant, Riley fixed him with a stare that could have melted steel. I know fire, counselor. And I know heroes. The courtroom hushed as he described the call, 2-alarm, residential, heavy smoke. We breach the door, and there's Hayes, crawling on her belly through Zerovis, clutching some damn photo album like it's the Holy Grail. She points us to the bedrooms, gets her mom and sister out before the flashover. Kit had burns on her arms, lungs full of crap that'll haunt her forever. That's not faking, that's brass-balled courage. Whispers started then, a murmur like whined through the loop's canyons. Ellie paled, her fingers twisting her necklace, the one she'd borrowed from Mom years back. Voss blustered, but Riley wasn't done. Heard about this suit. Family calling her a fraud? Bullshit. She saved lives that night, including theirs. If anyone's playing victim. He trailed off, but the implication hung, thick as smoke. Next was Jake Torres, Lena's cousin, small world, a probie then, now a full patch. Young, earnest, with tattoos peeking from his sleeves. I was on the line, he said, voice steady. Hayes was coughing blood, but she wouldn't leave till we cleared the upstairs. Whispered to me, tell my sister it's okay. Like she knew she'd take the heat. The jury leaned in, a couple of them nodding, blue-collar types who got it, the quiet heroism in the grind. By recess, the gallery buzzed. Reporters from the Sun-Times cornered Voss outside, his spin fracturing, character witnesses don't change facts. But the tide was turning, slow and inexorable as the Chicago River in spring flood. That night, back in my basement, I chain-smoked menthols on the stoop, the city's pulse thrumming, horns blaring, distant sirens wailing like banshees. Ellie texted for the first time in months, "This is insane, Char, drop it." For Mom. I deleted it, rage coiling tighter. Drop it? After they dragged me through the mud? No. This was my reckoning. Day 4 dawned muggy, the AC in the courthouse wheezing like an old man. Lena called her star witness, not a firefighter, but an accountant from Ellie's firm, a mousy guy named Derek with glasses like bottle bottoms. He'd quit 6 months back, conscience gnawing. I saw the books, he stammered under Voss's glare. Embezzlement patterns matching the fire timeline. Funds rerouted post-payout. Miss Hayes' name never touched it. Ellie bolted up, that's a lie. But the judge banged the gavel, her face a thundercloud. Voss objected furiously, but the damage was done. The whispers grew to a hum. Hero firefighter. But arson. Who started it? I took the stand again for redirect, Lena guiding me gentle. Charlotte, why protect her? I looked straight at Ellie, her eyes wide now, pleading. Because she's my sister. Because I thought blood was thicker than ash. But you learn, sometimes it's the thinnest thread, snaps under the weight of greed. The climax hit like a backdraft. Voss, cornered, called Mom to the stand, wheelchair rolling slow, her voice a rasp from the oxygen tube. Charlotte was always troubled, she said, tears welling. The fire. I think she wanted to hurt us. My chest caved. Mom, my rock, crumbling under Ellie's whispers. The jury shifted, uncomfortable. That divide Lena promised cracking open. Who to believe? The scarred savior or the frail matriarch? But then the twist, the one that'd have talk show hosts yelling for weeks. Lena rose, holding a tape recorder, salvaged from my therapy sessions. Permission to play, Your Honor? The judge nodded, wary. Click. My voice, raw from a session last year. Ellie made me do it. Gas can in my hand, but her plan. And the worst? She knew about the wiring, Dad's bad job in the attic. One spark, and boom. She gambled we'd get out clean. Gasps. Voss sputtered. Ellie froze, her mask shattering, the truth spilling like spilled gas. She'd known the house was a tinderbox, rigged the odds for a bigger payout. Mom's eyes widened, betrayal dawning late. Ellie, you said. The courtroom erupted, bailiffs shouting for order. Jurors whispered furiously, hero or pyro, sister or snake. That moral quagmire sucking everyone in. No clean lines. I'd committed arson, sure, but for love twisted into lies. Ellie, the villain, but wasn't she just chasing the American dream, that ruthless ladder climb? We recessed, chaos reigning. Outside, protesters gathered, feminists chanting for sister solidarity, firefighters, union reps holding signs, honor the burn. Media vans clogged the street, anchors breathlessly debating, is Hayes a martyr or a manipulator? I slipped out a side door, Lena clapping my shoulder. You open the box, Charlotte. Now watch it burn. Night 5, the verdict loomed. I couldn't sleep, pacing my apartment, the walls closing like smoke. Flashbacks hit, the match flaring, Ellie's grateful hug turning to ice. Was revenge worth it? The divide in my gut mirrored the jury's. Ellie deserved the fall, but dragging Mom down? That was the controversy gnawing, the what if that'd haunt op-eds for months. Morning broke gray, drizzles slicking the streets. Courthouse packed, overflow rooms spilling with spectators glued to the feed. The jury filed in, faces unreadable, a mix of South Side grit and North Shore polish, divided as the city itself. Foreman, a burly plumber type, stood. On the charge of fraudulent claim. Pause that stretched eternal. My pulse thundered. We find the defendant. Not liable. Cheers erupted from the back, firefighters thumping benches. Ellie wailed, collapsing into Voss's arms. Mom wheeled forward, tears streaming, mouthing, sorry over the din. I sat numb, Lena hugging me fierce. You won, Char. But at what cost? Dismissed, I stepped into the rain, flashes popping like gunfire. Reporters swarmed. Miss Hayes, do you forgive them? I paused, water mixing with salt on my cheeks. Forgiveness? That's for saints. Me? I'm just surviving the burn. But the real twist? As I walked away, phone buzzing, unknown number. Ellie's voice, broken. Char, wait. I have cancer. Stage 4. That's why. The money, the lies. For treatment I couldn't afford. Lie or truth. Her voice cracked just right, that old hook sinking deep. I hung up, heart fracturing anew. Hero? Victim? Villain? In the end, we're all just embers, glowing in the dark, waiting for the next wind to scatter us. The debates raged online for weeks, Hayes' fire trial trending, podcasters picking sides. Was I the ultimate patsy, or did I light the fuse knowingly? Ellie vanished, checks bouncing to chemo centers or Cayman accounts, who knew? Mom moved in with a cousin, sending postcards of forgiveness I couldn't read without shaking. Me? I took a job at a print shop in Pilsen, designing flyers for local bands, the ink smell a faint echo of smoke. Therapy helped, scars faded to silver. But some nights, on the L rattling home, I wonder, if I could go back, would I strike that match again? For family, for revenge, for the messy truth that no one's clean in this city of big shoulders and bigger secrets. And that's the rub, the twist that leaves you arguing at the water cooler. Because maybe, just maybe, the real fire was the one Ellie lit in me, and the revenge? It wasn't the courtroom win. It was walking away whole while they choked on the ashes. Ellie swore it was nothing, just routine, Char, they always poke around, but I saw the fear in her eyes when she visited, the way she avoided the garage like it was cursed. The cops came in July, badges glinting under the July 4th fireworks still echoing in my skull. Detective Ruiz, a no-bullshit Latina with a Bears lanyard, sat me down at the Formica table in the precinct, her partner looming like a bad cop cliché. "Ms. Hayes, we know about the fire. And we know it wasn't an accident." My mouth went dry, the room spinning.